Hi, once again, we are on stage at the Cumberland County Playhouse. We have some actors from the upcoming production of Les Miserables, which is about to open on March 8th. If you could just go down the line, tell us who you are and what role or roles you're playing or what jobs you have on the show.
I'm Britt Hancock. I'm alternating in the roles of Javert and Thénardier, and I'm also the assistant director on the project.
I'm Leila Nelson. I'm playing Eponine along with this lady over here, and I'm also the choreographer.
Yep, I'm Anna Baker, and I'm playing Eponine.
And I am Jason Ross, and I'm also alternating the roles of Javert and Thénardier.
Okay, so let's jump right on that, because that's one of the most interesting things that the Playhouse does, is provide the audience and the actors with an unusual opportunity. Particularly, we know we've seen it with children, where people share a role so they don't go on as many times. But with adult and professionals, you're getting to do two roles in the play, Jason and Britt, which are very different. Even though they both are villains, they're very, very different. Tell us a little bit what that's like for you. Have you done that before?
I've never done that before, actually. It's unique in the way that you get the chance to do both of these great roles. You know,
Sure.
you never thought you'd do it in the same production.
On the same night.
Right. But to be able to do it, it's really neat and it's really rewarding. Challenging, of course, but rewarding.
How about for you, Jason?
Ditto. It is very unique. It is very, very challenging. But it's a challenge, and it's a great opportunity to play two great parts in a very important show, a show that's very important to this place.
Those particular roles really drive the action in a lot of ways, but in very different ways. I mean, Thénardier, you guys are learning choreography and lending a comic tone, dealing with the children a lot. With Javert, you're on a mission
Yes.
to catch this
Very
man.
Demented moral compass throughout
Very
the show.
different.
Man.
Is it interesting to watch each other?
It is.
It is. And plus you're having to concentrate on your own stuff, but it's great to watch and see different aspects of it. I mean, because
I imagine.
two actors are the same.
Right.
Yeah.
See a different interpretation.
See a different interpretation.
The other actors who we were talking to were saying how cool that is also, because you're going to react a little differently
Oh, yeah.
when a different person, just like when an understudy goes on.
And it
You're
is
gonna,
kind of mind-blowing when there's a couple of scenes with Javert and Thénardier.
who am I tonight? Sure.
There was one day Jason had a conflict and couldn't be at rehearsal, and we were rehearsing the scene that we're both in together. And so I was going from Thénardier back to Javert, back to
Oh my gosh. Now in rehearsal, what is that like? I mean, honestly, I'm sure our audience doesn't know. Do you take turns? Do you take a day where you're only doing one role? How is
Initially, we alternated, but as we're progressing through the run, we're taking turns through doing a run. We're alternating runs now.
that seems healthy
Yes. Very
and
much
good
so.
for the people around you. So you actually, like in a rehearsal, would run a scene and then run it again?
Yes.
Initially when we first started.
Cool.
Yeah.
But now that we're into runs, we just do one character.
You stay with it. That's very cool. How about for you ladies? You're sharing the pivotal role of Eponine, singing a big old song.
We actually shared the narrator back in Joseph in December, so
Cool.
we're used to sharing, but luckily she's one of my best friends, so that makes it easy as well.
That helps.
Yeah.
But it's just really neat to see different interpretations of the material, and I learned so much from watching her.
Yeah.
And just playing with it and finding out what our characters are
Yeah.
for ourselves,
Nice.
as well as for the whole piece as a whole.
Now, do you ladies have to do something else the nights you're not Eponine?
I have a little bit of a different track, but it's more ensemble stuff and then ensemble singing backstage.
And how about for you?
And I choreographed the show, so that's kind of like my double duty,
Gotcha.
as well as other things in the building.
So you got to keep an eye on that too.
And Britt is also co-directing in
Yeah.
addition to playing
So you have to watch everything.
roles. I just have two parts to worry about. He's got other things.
Good Lord, good Lord, good Lord. Well, then, jumping on that, Britt, do you take your work home with you, or are you able to leave it in the rehearsal hall?
Depends on the day.
Fair answer.
Yeah. I try to leave it in the rehearsal hall, but of course your subconscious is always going, and I'm always thinking about something that I don't even realize I'm thinking about. Waking up in the middle of the night with an idea of something to try the next day happens a lot.
No, if you think we don't talk about marketing at my house
Yeah.
and directing.
So-
Leila, how about you? Are you able to separate and leave it here, or?
It depends on what I'm doing. Usually if it's working on staging something or choreographing something, I'll have to take it home, obviously, and work on it. But
Because you're also a director as well, correct?
Yeah. So, but luckily with this piece, we did it back in '06 as a student production, so I'm pretty familiar with it as the songs and the material, but also it's a little bit different because there's things that are edited out of that are not in the full production.
Right.
So a little of each.
Anna, same
Yeah.
question. Do
I
you
agree
take it
that-
home?
I agree that it depends on the day, but mostly it just will take me like an hour or so to get out of work mode.
Uh-huh.
But
Your brain is still
but like,
doing it.
I live in company housing and these three don't, so it's pretty much work all the time. I'm around
Understood.
fellow workers, yeah.
How about you, Jason?
I
Tell us
take
your
it,
process.
I take it everywhere, whether I want to or not. I mean, it's always in the back of my mind, coming and thinking about things. And, I really can't get away from it. Sometimes I can't sleep because of it. I don't
Me
wanna know
too.
about all that.
Me too. Anna, how is it doing a show that is all sung and has no book scenes at all?
I think that it is wonderful. I find characters much more easy to grasp because in musicals or in operas because we have so many more clues. There's I mean, if it's written well, the music and the lyrics together tell you exactly how you're supposed to be feeling at that given moment and what's going on. And if you're a good listener, you'll be able to hear it.
That's
that
great.
The emotion is right in the accompaniment.
That's very
Whereas
astute.
with like a straight play, I have to do a lot more script analysis to find what I need to do personally.
In some ways, I would think, and please, I'd love to hear your response to it. As a director, I would, and I have not done Les Mis, I would think that it allows you to bring your touch to it because there aren't those book scenes that exactly say you only have as it is sung, and you do feel it in the music so much. I'm not suggesting you could bring some wackadoo interpretation, but you can bring yourself and what you do with your voice and the way you communicate with your voice and your body. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, and I think you have an automatic guideline of how the scene should be played because it's dictated in the music. The
Right.
rhythm of the music, the dynamics in the music. I think it's an automatic match.
And there's no stopping.
Right. And there's no stopping.
I can tell you when we're off camera, I can tell you a very funny story about that from Broadway of this show. Britt, what's your biggest challenge with this show? Or did we just discuss it in terms of changing, or is there something else? Or do you have one, or favorite moment?
I think aside from learning the two roles at once, that was probably the most challenging part. But I think it's the music because there's so much of it. Parts of it are very difficult.
Yes.
Especially the Javert stuff.
Yeah.
Knowing when to come in the right beat and knowing that it's not stopping. You know, if you go up, you're gone. You know, it's
You're
up
done.
to you to get back on. They're going to continue.
And there's
Exactly.
so many interlacing themes. Like the music will change on a dime. Like
Right.
it'll go
Right.
immediately into something else to dictate the next emotion, kind of.
I've seen the show 4 times on Broadway. I've seen the Philadelphia National Tour. I've seen it done in Miami. Very excited to see it here because it's been given such a massive production with nearly 90 people in the cast.
Yes, this is the first time.
With rotating, actors, so we have all kinds of just artistic activity going on. I mean, that sounds cliche, but it's true. So I'm really, really excited. But it is tremendous music,
yes.
tremendous.
Oh, yes.
And we were talking last night because we're constantly talking about how to get more and more people interested. If you don't know, we all think us theater people, Les Mis, we know what that is.
Right.
But if you don't know about Les Miserables, what is that? And the way that this show allows you to connect with what would be historical, distant kind of characters. The way they wrote it so that they're so accessible. Do you find that in playing them, Anna?
Say it again.
Well, do you find like Eponine very accessible as opposed to being a history piece that is,
I find her
separate?
Yeah, I find her accessible because she's about our age, and she's just dealing with fantasy that won't come true. So that's a very accessible thing to feel as a.
What is that fantasy?
To be in love with someone that's not going to love you back, and that she has to deal with that. And I like to play Eponine in this, like that she's just realized that. We find her in the show where she has been, mooning over Marius for how many
Forever.
years, and then this show catches her when she's like, "Oh, Marius isn't mine."
So
that's an accessible.
that's a very proactive choice to make it that we get to share that discovery for her. Jason, do you have a favorite moment in the show? And in which role? For today. You're allowed to pick a different one tomorrow.
I enjoy both of the roles. Javert is so interesting to me because of the layers and what drives this man to be obsessed with black and white, good and bad, right and wrong. But my favorite moment in the show is actually Enjolras's moment in the ABC Cafe when he's when they're celebrating, and he finally stops them and says, "Look, it's coming down to this. Are you ready to give up your life for what you believe?" I love that moment. It floods my heart. It's so moving.
Yeah. How about you, Leila?
These young boys, they're about to die.
They're gonna, and we know it.
Yeah, and they know it, and they're deep down.
That's what's
and the
really
music,
moving.
Turning on a dime right there. That
exactly.
little emotional section in the music is so kills me. But that's my thing.
That's great. Do you have a favorite moment?
I have a couple. Well, I love the whole play, but when Nate sings "Bring 'Em Home," I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm gone. It's beautiful. And the final moment of the show, when we all come back and sing together, is just very powerful for me. This final notes, this
Wonderful.
final 3 notes before we sing "Tomorrow Comes." Oh,
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to create that and to have fun teen watching over, and it's great. It's lovely. Well, Britt, I didn't ask you this. Is it more difficult when there's no dialogue? Is it more difficult for you as an actor when it's just all sung? Most of us, not all of us in theater do opera.
Right.
So we haven't had, I don't. I haven't had that experience. So
I don't know that it's more difficult. It's different. I tend to be able to memorize song lyrics easier than dialogue.
Me too.
So memorization has been easier in that respect. Cool. But it has its own challenges.
those would be the kids who are here with me making a little noise. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We will look forward to seeing you on the internet and share it with all your friends. Is there anything else anybody wants to add before we wrap up? You're good?
Come see the show. It's going to be amazing. Come see it
see
multiple
Les Mis.
times.
Multiple
So you can
times.
see all of us
Definitely.
in the play.
You will be uplifted at the end.
It'll be a different experience every time.
So that's what I think people also don't know about Les Mis is it's sad and it's happy and it's silly and
But
it's
it pays
joyous,
off.
but it pays off and it's about people
Definitely.
It's about the
and
human
relationship and spirit and belief. And I
Everyone
love that.
can relate to one of the characters.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
universal
exactly.
theme.
Well, join us for that. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.